Hi everyone, Katarina here. Thank you so much for watching my video today. Once again, I'm back with Simply Cards and Papercrafts issue 239. The goodies in this are just gorgeous. I already shared a card using the stamp set, and I will link to the video below in the description box if anyone would like to check them out. They are just gorgeous. Today, I'm going to be using the stamp, butterfly stamp that came with a matching die as well. Also, some of the papers, printable version of paper, and some of the elements and the sentiments that came in the printable version that you could download. And these are the ones that I've printed out, and I'm going to put this through my Silhouette Cameo die cutting machine, and it will cut them out for us as we work. Okay, so just a quick peek of the card that we will be making. I think it's lovely, it's colorful, it's happy. I really love this card, and I really love how it turned out. So today is one of the rare occasions that I sit down to record a tutorial and I have no idea what I'm going to make. I had kind of an idea in my head, but I had no real plan. So hence the voiceover. Really, I needed some inspiration. I sat down to listen to some music and decided to just go with the flow. So I printed out half of an A4 sheet of each paper that came in the printable versions. As I said, I had no idea which ones I was going to use at this point. I was really deciding just on the go. So I'm using a 6.5 by 6.5 card base because I knew I wanted to use 2-inch squares and I wanted to have a little border around them. So in here I'm deciding which papers I'm going to cut, and I decided to go with the coral pink, but I really loved the idea of adding a bit of that gorgeous green paper in there as well. So with this first one, I'm being a bit strategic because on every 2 inch of a square that I'm cutting out, I wanted to have one of those white flowers. So I'm just cutting around the flowers to have a 2 by 2 inch square. I'm cutting 3 of each, but I knew I wasn't going to need them much. I just didn't know which ones, how many of which I was going to use. So now I'm going to cut these watercolor kind of a wash of that green turquoise. I think it's gorgeous. Now I'm going to cut some of these corally with the butterflies on them. It's again, matches everything so perfectly. I think this set is really well put together. And I decided to go with this coral one instead of the pink that you could see there beside the butterflies, but you will see me later come back to it and use some of the pink as well, because we'll just need it. The card will need a bit of an extra. So now I'm putting this back in the magazine, and if I decide to use the set again, I have already some papers printed and I don't need to go back to print anymore. To stamp out my butterflies, I'm going to use my stamping platform, and I'm going to stamp out 3 butterflies, but I will end up not using them all. I will show you one on camera in here. Prepare my cardstock with the embossing body, and I'm using VersaFine black ink to stamp the butterfly. I will stamp them twice to make sure they get a good coverage, and to heat emboss, I'm using a Clear Gloss Super Fine Embossing Powder by Wow. I really love using it on black outline stamps like this. I think it just adds such a lovely detail and dimension to those little elements. And I'm going to heat up my heat tool, and I'm going to make this butterfly beautiful shiny. As you can see, as the powder melts on it, it makes it gorgeous and shiny. I don't even know if the camera shows it all, but it really turns out beautiful. So as I said off camera, I will stamp 2 more of these. And now I'm trying to line up the outline die in here, but it's just not working. I don't know, is it because I heat embossed it and the cardstock may have warped? So I just decided to go and fussy cut this. Now, I really am not a fussy cutting master. Honestly, I really don't like it. I'm no good at it. I've been listening to other creators who are much more experienced, and they all been saying, don't turn the scissors, turn the cardstock. So that's what I'm trying to do. But even at that, it doesn't always turn out to be nice and even. But I really am happy with the overall result as they turn out. At the end of the day, it's handmade and it's meant to be handmade. It's not meant to be looking machine cut. So yeah, I am overall happy with how it turns out. So I'm just going to go around, and I'm gonna go and do this to the other butterflies as well that I stamped out, and you will see at the end I only end up using 2 of these butterflies. On the right hand side you can see the 3 cutout butterflies, and in here me just trying to arrange 9 of these squares which way I like them best. At this point I decided that I needed to come in with a little bit of that pink. It's just gorgeous, and I really am happy that I decided to go with that. I think it just brings out those butterflies on those corally ones a little bit more. I don't know, but it really adds to the card. So I was really happy that I decided to go back to cut some of those little squares out. Now you're gonna see me come in with a little tool to rough up the edges of each of those 9 little squares. This is just a blade. Also you can use the blade, the edge of your scissors to do this. It just really adds a bit of an interest. I love doing this. The tattered rose distress oxiding, I'm just using this on those roughed up edges, really just to take the white darkness away of the edges that I had roughed up. But it doesn't add too much color to it either. It just really mutes it down a little bit if you like. So I'm gonna go and do this to all 9 squares. Once I've arranged the 9 squares on the card base, I really wasn't happy about it. So I went ahead and I cut out a black cardstock to 6 3/8 by 6 3/8 of an inch, just 1/8 of an inch under the card base, which leaves me with that lovely thin border on all 4 sides. Once I arranged the squares back, I knew instantly this was the right decision to make. It just makes those colors pop so much more. So I'm going to use liquid glue to add the little squares back. Now liquid glue helps me to get them as even and as straight as possible. Now those edges of the little squares are roughed up, so it's not going to be a ruler straight, but the liquid glue definitely helps them to get them as even as possible. The glue I'm using in here is the Colourful all-purpose glue, which I love using. It leaves, once it dries, it leaves it real nice and strong bond. It makes everything stand real strong. I love it. It's my favorite go-to glue to use. I'm going to decide whether I want this top folding or side folding, and I eventually end up using a top folding for this one. The inverted scallop dies are from Craft Stash, and I used one that is just under 4 inches. And the little elements that I showed you at the start of the video, my silhouette was going to cut out for me. These are all from the printable elements from the paper kit that came with the magazine. I'm using that same tattered rose distress oxiding just to add a little bit of a color all around that circle. And I'm arranging some of these little flowers here and there on the focal point, I suppose, but there will be other focal points because the butterflies are still to be finished to be used on this card. So I'm using the sentiment, it's your day to shine, and best mom underneath it, and it's your day to shine. I had cut out 2 of those and I glued them up on top of each other just to add a little bit of a dimension. Now I'm just adding a bit of a glue to these little flowers, arranging them, and I wasn't going to essentially, but then I did decide to use a bit of a foam tape on the larger yellow flower in there. So I'm adding a bit of a liquid glue to this as well and tucking some more of the foliage underneath. I'm going to add foam tape underneath the circle before I attach it to the card base. My first idea was to leave some of the circle hanging off and cut the excess away, but then I grew to love the circle on the card, so I ended up using the whole circle and I love the results. So yeah, sometimes I just keep changing my mind as I go. So I'm going to add it kind of not centered, it's on the bottom right corner-ish. Now I'm attaching the black cardstock to the card base, top folding card base, and in here I'm just playing about with all the elements, what will go where. But until the butterflies are done, at this point I just had no idea what was going to be arranged where. So in here you can see me cut some of that butterfly away and it looks like a side view of a butterfly. So this took me the longest to decide what colors to use. I knew I was going to use the Tree Blend alcohol markers, and eventually I managed to decide on the turquoise blend for the smaller butterfly, the one with the side view. And I'm just really using the darker shades towards the body of the butterfly, and then the medium shades in the middle of those wings, and towards the outer edge of the wings I'm just using the lightest shades. Now there's not much of a difference between the dark and the medium shade of this color blend in here. So I'm just gonna come back towards the body of the butterfly, and I'm just going to flicker out some more of that darkest color. And I'm gonna come back with the dark gray to add it to the body of the butterfly. Now you can see that lovely shading that turned out there. It's quite hard to see in a fast movement, so I slowed this down for you. On the full-sized butterfly, I decided to use the coral blends. I think these are gorgeous colors. I really love it. So I'm going in with the darkest shade towards the closest to the body of the butterfly. In the middle of those wings, I'm going to add the medium shade. And as I come out towards the edges of the butterfly wings, I'm going to use the lightest of the three. So I'm just going on with this and coloring in. I really don't need to do much of a shading on here at all. Like, these markers do the job for you. I really love using these. I have enjoyed using them on all different colorings, and I just really love how the results they give, especially if you're no good at shading or coloring like me. I think these are extremely helpful, so I love using them, and I will be using them in the future as well. So that's it, and I'm coming back with the dark gray just in the body of the butterfly. So I'm just playing about a bit, trying to arrange them which way they sit the best on that card. I think the colors work so very well together. On the two bits of the sentiment, the bit that is going to hang off that circle, I'm adding a bit of a foam tape just to make sure that they will be sitting on that card nice and straight, since the circle itself had been popped up on some foam tape, so there's a bit of a foam square at the edge of that best mom as well. Now I'm adding a bit of a curve into the wings of the butterfly, and this is how I'm going to glue it onto the card, adding a bit of a quick grab glue onto this one. It's the acrylic glue by Cosmic Shimmer I'm using, and also the same one in here. Now you will see I removed this butterfly, and I'm going to add a little bit of a curve onto the wings of this one as well. And now you will see the lovely dimension this gives to the card. I love it. Now, of course, it wouldn't be a lovely Mother's Day card if we didn't add a little bit of a blink. This is by Chloe's Creative Cards. These are AB rhinestones that I'm using. They are like silvery, but have a gorgeous shine of all different colors through them. So I'm just trying to see where I'm arranging them. And I'm using some of the smallest and some of the medium-sized ones in here. I'm adding them in 3 different places on this card, and it just adds such a lovely shine to the card. I really love it. I'm also coming in with the clear sparkle pen to add a little bit of a shine to the flowers on the white circle there, and that finishes off the card just beautifully. So here's the final look of the finished card. I absolutely love it, and I hope you do too. Leave me a comment below. Do you like something like this colorful, or would you go with a bit plainer colors or using less colors perhaps? I really hope you liked this video, and if you did, please give me the thumbs up, and if you haven't yet done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. I have some more beautiful videos lined up, and I will be sharing them hopefully very soon. I see you the next time. Bye!